Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So at this point, the drumbeat for Project Highland is absolutely deafening. People familiar are saying Tesla is set for mass production of the revamped Model 3 as soon as next month, which would be September. Tesla is in the final stages of producing display vehicles, which will be shipped to Tesla showrooms later in August. Mass production is set to follow, again in September. Output will ramp up through China's National Day holiday, which starts September 30th. When you really think about it, it's very impressive how secret Tesla has been able to keep what these actual changes are going to be, given how long and how many people are looking to find any detail we can get. Like I said yesterday, this confirms September production sounds very likely, but before that, maybe we get some showroom vehicles later this month, and hopefully somebody takes some video and it spreads around the internet. On the Irish Tesla configurator, some people were seeing this new vehicle coming soon and then saying maybe this is Project Highland. But I do not think that's the case because this is an inventory vehicle and this wording is on some inventory pages. I believe it just means a vehicle of this configuration will be available locally soon. Remember, if Tesla put wording like this on the Model 3 configurator for new orders, that would of course delay some of those orders, the Osborne effect, so they most likely would never do that. On the Cybertruck front, I just want to say, Gregor Truck, you're the man. Love what you've been doing lately. But I feel the need to throw a bit of cold water on this idea that maybe we're going to see a much faster ramp with the Cybertruck than we did the Model 3 and Y. Is it possible? Absolutely. Am I rooting for it? Absolutely. We just have to remember there is a lot of new technology, many new manufacturing techniques. So just because we've seen maybe 20 or so come out of Giga Texas in the past week or so does not necessarily mean we're about to see some crazy exponential ramp this year. And yes, I would love to be proven wrong on this one, and sure, Elon has made some statements about how experienced Tesla is with ramps, but he's also many times warned us and told us to keep our expectations very low for the Cybertruck Ramp, so just wanted to touch on that. Honestly, at this point, one of my biggest questions is, will we see any trucks with the ability to carry more than just 3 Cybertrucks? That's the most we've seen so far. So is something like this going to be out of the question given the size and weight of the Cybertruck? The latest tracking update has some Cybertrucks on the I-70 in Indianapolis. Where we headed? Anybody's guess. My best guess would still be to do some crash testing somewhere. I've seen many folks thinking these are going to showrooms, but the ones that we've seen actually looked a little dirty, and you would think they would actually be covered up if that was their end purpose. You know how some people in the Tesla community and then most of the media has said that Tesla has a demand problem in Europe? Well, here we're looking at the number of new EV registrations in Europe for the first half of this year. Yet the data says the Model Y has sold over 138.8 thousand, the Model 3 is in second at 43.1 thousand, and then we have the rest after that. So in the first half, the Tesla brand has done over 180,000, and no other brand on this list has been over even 100,000. I had a little chuckle to myself reading this one this morning. We've actually been talking about this now for years. But apparently, just now we have the experts chiming in late 2023 saying the lack of build complexity has been an advantage for Tesla, startup EV makers, and Chinese competitors. Welcome to the party, experts. But in all seriousness, both Ford and GM over the past few weeks have said that that is the winning strategy. No surprise, it's what Tesla's been doing for the last decade. We got J.D. Power's 2023 version of their public charging study, the EV Experience. The Tesla Supercharger network earned 739 out of a possible 1,000 points, and first by far, with Electrify America bringing up the rear. Those results will not surprise most of us here, but did want to point out the study said the current state of public charging was woefully inadequate. Customer satisfaction with level 2 charging declined to 617, 16 points lower than last year, the lowest level since the study began in 2021. And it gets worse, DC fast chargers declined further, dropping 20 points, and customers remain more skeptical of public chargers than ever. The biggest problem cited, the cost and speed of charging and availability of things to do while waiting for their car to charge, are some of the least satisfying aspects. Also, the reliability of the public chargers continues to be a problem. This is one area where the first mover advantage Tesla have plays on so many levels because Tesla has a lot of the best locations already locked down, and that was one of the key findings of the study, that these public chargers need to be located where they will actually serve their customers given things to do and convenient locations along certain routes. And shout out to Volta, who actually ranked the highest among level 2 charging stations, scoring 665 with Tesla destination chargers at 661. Remember, oftentimes those level 2 Tesla chargers need to be kept up by the location owner, and that won't always happen. And speaking of new owners, a lot of you have reached out to tell me you've been enjoying your Vessis, the sponsor of this video, and I think it's time for a reminder of why I'm such a fan. Vessi supports programs bringing fresh water to places without it, so you're doing good with your purchase. Style is subjective, but if my fashion-forward wife loves them, that's a great sign. And yes, I think they have awesome Tesla-like minimalistic styles. They're incredibly easy to slip on and off, and they're in the top tier of the most comfortable and lightweight shoes I've ever owned. They're made with a special Dymatex material to keep you cool in the summer and dry in the winter, and this material is super easy to clean. One of the coolest features though, they are 100% waterproof. Ashley and I love taking walks, and now rain and puddles are not a problem. Vessis are 100% vegan, no animal products used. The soles are grippy, making for a great all-purpose shoe, and their manufacturing process is focused on reducing its carbon footprint. Hat tip to Tesla. I wear these when traveling, running errands, taking walks, and yes, I've worked out in my Vessis too. If you want to check out their wide variety of men's and women's shoes, head to vessi.com/electrified and use my code electrified for 15% off. The link is below. Enjoy. Tesla has just put Core Lithium on notice, saying if they can't work out a deal, then they're going to take legal action, this stemming from failed negotiations dating back to last year. The two sides failed to reach a deal after 7 months of negotiating last year. Core said it received notice Tesla intends to avail itself of all available legal remedies if the parties are unable to resolve the matter. A consortium of companies, including Ford and some South Korean companies, just announced they're going to spend around $900 million to make EV battery materials in Bécancour, Quebec. Eventually, this factory will produce cathode active materials specifically for nickel, cobalt, manganese chemistries, of course aiming for greater performance and longer ranges, to be used in Ford's future North American lineup, especially some of their future trucks. The factory plans to be operational in the first half of 2026. If you've been watching the channel the past year or so, you will remember a lot of these announcements of a very nice battery supply chain being set up in Canada, specifically Quebec and Ontario. Wolf Financial was posting about Warren Buffett's success, and then Elon chimed in saying he could have invested in Tesla when we were worth basically nothing, and he didn't. Speaking of Elon, this morning he said he just arrived in amazing Japan, hopefully to negotiate the next Megapack factory or Megafactory. Thank you, Brad. Tesla Owners UK shared the first UK sighting of a V4 supercharger install at the Tottenham Service Centre. The post did say that these stalls do indeed have that screen that we've been talking about now for weeks. I just have to say, it's almost like something's going on. You can get a picture from right here, but you can't get a little closer and maybe get a picture of something in this area for us. And here's one more picture. Hopefully we start seeing some of these V4s pop up in the States sometime in 2024. On the Tesla careers page, they're hiring for a program manager in business development, specifically looking for the lead in the launch of the Tesla rental program in Texas. For context, the individual will be responsible for driving cost and process optimization within the collision team. Sounds like an official integrated Tesla rental program for service center type visits. But they also say the role will automate the process for a much larger launch, and they'll support the launch in any airports for the Tesla employee pilot. The way I'm reading this, it could just be a smaller scale, again, rental for service center visits, but I could also see a world where maybe Tesla gets into a full-blown rental situation through Tesla, capitalizing on that revenue, maybe getting away from the Hertz model or competing with them a bit more directly. I don't want to read too far into this because in the job posting they talk about glass repair optimization, and that's a big part of the job description. So I'm not really sure, but absolutely one to watch. Let me know how you guys are interpreting this listing. We've talked at length about Tesla's negotiations with India, but let's take a look at how the other automakers are viewing this market. India actually replaced Japan as the world's third largest car market after the US and China in 2022. And as we've said about India in the past, this story really is about the future that India will look like, not necessarily what it's looked like to date. So as incomes rise in the region, Indian drivers are opting for more expensive SUVs and sedans over hatchbacks. Analysts are saying the shift in local demand from small, inexpensive cars to higher quality vehicles could encourage other global automakers to plan more India-first models that are eventually exported. And this should sound familiar to you, but India's lower costs are another potential advantage for an export-focused approach, exactly what Tesla is capitalizing on with Giga Shanghai, the export hub so far. India has an extensive network of domestic component suppliers and comparatively cheap labor. And in a change of the guard, Hyundai will be buying a factory from GM in India. And for some context, Hyundai sold 552,000 vehicles in India last year, ranking second with a 14.5% share of the market.
I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world. I am a fan of Modi, so...
Here we have the Acura ZDX, a Google-powered EV with 325 miles of range and starting around $60,000. The ZDX will be the second EV from the Honda Acura team after the 2024 Honda Prologue. And both vehicles are expected to start deliveries in 2024, but we don't know which one will be first. And perhaps most interestingly, the ZDX will be part of that 3-year-old partnership with GM, so this vehicle is going to use Ultium's batteries. Both trims of this vehicle will have a 102 kilowatt-hour battery pack. This car will support phone mirroring with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Acura will be accepting pre-orders later this year, and this will be the first Honda or Acura vehicle to be sold online. With Rivian ramping up the dual motor R1 variants, we have 6 different dual motor configurations available. On the top end, you have a range of 352 miles, this just published by the EPA, and on the lower range, you have 307 miles. But as expected, more range from the dual motor configurations than we saw with the quad motor. Back to that expert conversation, now we have a new study saying that ADAS could save more than 8,000 lives per year. You don't say. The American Automotive Association's Foundation for Traffic Safety found that through 2050, ADAS tech could prevent 27 million crashes, 14 million injuries, and 250,000 deaths.
But now I'm confused because Dan O'Dowd told me that Tesla's ADAS system was a death machine and is literally out to kill people, so what gives?
Apparently I'm just on a little bit of one today. Don't forget, check out Vessi, linked below if you're interested. Take advantage of the discount. I really do think the shoes are awesome, and I think that you will too. You can find me on X and Instagram, linked below. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.